Renee is a medicine woman. Oh my goodness. Transformational life coach and devoted mama of 3, 2 Earthside and 1 Angel Bodhi. She is the founder and director of the Revolutionary Radiance Movement, where she supports women all over the world through various programs and events in discovering and living from their true feminine essence, sacred sensuality, natural health, authentic beauty, and embodied power. Renee spent many years as an outwardly successful but deeply conflicted model who was known for her CoverGirl cosmetics campaigns in the 80s and 90s. She then left the business on a powerful healing quest to reclaim her life and to remember her authentic self. This deep inner quest for wholeness and healing blossomed into her life mission of supporting other women in living their fullest, most expressive and empowered lives. Renee is a certified herbalist and connected wellness practitioner, an energetic and spiritual healer, tantric dance teacher, speaker, and author. She brings her wise woman wisdom, her deep heart compassion, and her radiant power in service to humanity's great awakening during these revolutionary times. Oh my goodness. Amazing. Wow. Thank you for your presence on the planet. Thank you for your amazing path. Just reading that is just beautiful. I love just medicine woman.
Yeah.
What can I ask you what that means to you, that phrase?
Well, that means a lot of different things, but it started probably really grounding in for me when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I was modeling. I had what looked like a successful career, but my health plummeted and I got really, really, really sick.
Yeah.
And nobody could tell me why. Everybody was telling me it was in my head. And it was one of the most challenging times of my young life. And so I started to explore alternative healing paths. This is like, back in the early 90s in New York City. And I would go to like the little mom and pop health food shops and like ask about alternative healers and just try and find any way that would give me some answers, because unfortunately Western medicine couldn't. So it just started me on that path. I left New York City and I left modeling when I was 22 to move to Boulder, Colorado, and go to a 1-year Western herbalism school, which was just incredible. One of my favorite years of my life was with the 30 other students in this small, intimate class, almost 800 hours of just learning to trust nature, to trust my body, to not put authority for my own wellness outside of myself.
Yes.
Right. In Western medicine, we have we're like in the West, we're all just trained to think that somebody else. And certainly there's times like if I'm ever in a car accident and I'm all like mangled and broken and in pieces, please take me to the emergency room.
Yes. Right? Emergency medicine. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as long-term care, wellness care, I mean, it has come a long way in the last couple of decades. I'll give it that. But back when I was really struggling, there was just nothing for me, no answers. There was no integrative medicine yet. So, really medicine woman was claiming that sovereignty and autonomy and authority over my own body. And then it also, quickly became the authority over my own children from the perspective of their wellness. I had all 3 of my babies at home with midwives and really worked to reclaim that story as well.
Yes.
Right. Again, another area that we're trained to give away our power, to go into hospitals to have our babies. Like there's something wrong with having babies, or it's some kind of, and certainly again, in emergency situations, it's great. Thank you. It's there.
Yes.
But, my sister is actually here listening in, and between her and I, we've had 6 of the 7 grandchildren have all been born at home with midwives, successfully, beautifully, healthy children. So that's a big part of the medicine woman too.
Oh my goodness. This term medicine woman is just resonating within my heart so deeply. And you so embody all of what you've described. How are you able to, you're 22 years old, you're having in the mainstream idea, this dream life in a way of you're so beautiful. You're on CoverGirl advertisements, living in New York. And then you make this move to go to Boulder and study herbalism. How did that happen? What was living within you that enabled you to be able to do that?
Well, I think for one, there was a lot of disillusionment that came.
Yeah.
You know, I had started modeling. My sister Laura and I went to modeling school together. I started when I was 12. She was 15.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
And we both started at modeling school, and then I went on to be able to go to New York and do the career. But there was a lot of disillusionment that grew over time. The industry has improved a lot when I was in the business.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of darkness in it, a lot of, predatory people that just took advantage of the young women. I mean, I was very fortunate that my mother traveled with me until I was 17. So she did her best that she could to protect me, to help me stay out of trouble. And even in her best efforts, there was still, horrific things that happened. I had 2 date rapes in my 17, 18 years. I had, predatory photographers that would try and take advantage of. I had owners of, the elite agency in Paris that I was with trying to give me and my roommates all kinds of drugs. I mean, it was, on the outside, it was this like glamorous life, but on the inside, I also, struggled with eating disorders. It completely distorted my perception of myself, of my body, of woman, of what my value was. All of a sudden, my value was just my looks, my pretty face, my sexuality.
Yes.
Right. So by the time I was 22, a really, really big turning point for me was reading The Beauty Myth by
Naomi Wolf. Yes. I love her.
I read that book and then also Marianne Williamson's book, A Woman's Worth. I read both of those in my early 20s, and, it hit me deep in my heart and my spirit and had me really questioning this, this drive to sacrifice the deepest truth of who I was as a woman and, how I value myself for that business and for that fame. So that came along all at the same time that the health challenges. And, I basically just started looking around at herb schools around the country. And I was like, I'm just going to make this leap, and I did it. And it was amazing for me to, go.
I think that is absolutely amazing that at 22 years old, such a tender young age, you were able to see your truth and to read these books and make that type of shift. That is an incredible story at 22 to do that.
Yeah. My soul and my spirit and my relationship with God, like it's always been really strong. My self-preservation has tended to kick in just in time.
Amazing.
Right? Like, quit. I was a raging alcoholic through my 17, 18, 19, 20th birthday. Again, my sister was there for this big evening, 20th birthday, living in Paris, drunk off my ass and literally in my misery, crying, sobbing, not even really wanting to be here on the planet anymore. And I had this wake up God moment of seeing the two paths.
Yes.
I keep drinking. I keep being in this path of self-destruction, self-hate, right?
Yes.
Keeping on that path, I was going to be gone in a year. I saw it as clear as day.
Wow.
I get sober. I learned to love myself. I learned to value who I really am, not just these surface things.
Yes.
And that was a defining moment in my life, was that, choice points we have, right?
Yes. And how you listened, how you really honored. Yeah. That's so beautiful. Mara Moon is
hi, Mara.
Yeah.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
She says, so glad you survived.
Me too.
And thrived.
And learned self-love, right?
Yes. So in that modeling world, in how you were being treated by the external and then not feeling fully your own self-love, and then moving to Boulder and taking this amazing herbalism program. Is that where the self-love started to bubble up more?
I would say so. I think, being with a tight-knit group of people, I had great friends in the modeling world, but all of us were kind of suffering the same. Yeah. People tend to look at models and think, oh my God, their life is so perfect. They're so happy. But honestly, my experience is that often, they're the most insecure and traumatized and undervaluing who they really are. Yes. So I had surrounded myself in that world, right? That was kind of the energy, the vibe. That's what we were all immersed in. Yes. And then I moved to Boulder and to this really tight-knit community of 28 girls, 2 men, all the amazing teachers. And there really just was this different vibe of like, making the choices for ourselves, going after our passion, finding our true purpose, valuing ourselves for all of these other areas of, being a healer and being spiritually connected to the earth and our purpose, helping others, serving others, right? All these things. And so then I got immersed in that environment that really started to just, kind of sow those seeds of connecting. I mean, I call it my year of rewilding myself. Because,
I love that phrase.
To go from like living in an apartment in New York City and going to clubs and partying and, all that. It had toned down, after I stopped drinking, it shifted a bit. But, going from that to rented an A-frame cabin up in the mountains with who became my first husband. But going and living in nature and bears eating out of our compost, and, the hot tub out overlooking the mountains, and then being in this herb school. Like it really was this whole new path for me of connecting with the power of plants, the power of our nutrition and our lifestyle. I needed a lot of help in that department. I had when you have years and years of self-abuse through eating disorders and drugs to lose weight, and it's just all distorted, to relearn how to have a healthier relationship with self-nourishment and the power of healing foods and the power of herbs. And so it all started to come in really strong.
It was almost like just 180-degree turn from the New York life. What an amazing experience. Wow. Wow. Yeah. And so just really defining, and how long was that period of your life?
So I was in Colorado for a year. And then we decided to actually move outside of Olympia, Washington, where my first daughter was born. And kind of continued some of the adventure out there, which I love, love the Northwest. That became my home between Washington and Oregon, 26 years in that part of the country, just up until last summer. So.
Wow. Right. And that's when you did your move to Tennessee briefly?
Tennessee was a brief little stop, like October until February. Now I'm actually back in Nebraska, where I was born and raised, having some time here, really connecting with family.
I didn't realize. So right now you're living in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
not even in Tennessee right now. I love it. Wow. Tennessee is amazing. I know if I was in Tennessee, girl, I'd be coming down hanging out with you.
Yeah, we could do these together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was outside of Knoxville, still looking at property out in that area, still kind of daydreaming the community, the Bodhi Therapy Ranch, all the big dreams.
Oh, beautiful.
I think it's maybe a few years ago.
Oh my goodness. Amazing. Wow. So what other defining experiences, let's say from Boulder to now, really have played into your life's tapestry? What other really defining situations, experiences have there been?
Well, every child obviously has been, these huge quantum leaps of the medicine woman part, the empowerment around birth. I would say another really significant part in my journey of learning, all my mid to late 20s, there was a very strong theme of needing to do the really deep work around just my wounding with the masculine, my dysfunctional relationship patterns. So there was a very significant period of time, 27, 28, where I actually, and this is, there's a beautiful story with Neil with this. I won't kind of go into it, but when you said Neil Donald Walsh was going to be on this, I was like, that's an absolute yes for me. I love that man. I absolutely hold up that man as a big reason or a big part of my son Bodhi having been here with me for almost 20 years. So 27, 28, single parenting my daughter in the mountains of Oregon with my ex-in-laws. Actually, I was living on property with my ex-in-laws on land, milking my goat, raising, having a farm, doing that whole thing. Really lovely lifestyle.
Wow.
And I was in a long distance dating relationship for just a couple of months and got pregnant with my son Bodhi. And it was, one of those really potent periods of life because I was already in this place of hardship.
Yeah.
Financially, raising my daughter alone. Yeah. Love being a mother. I mean, to me, being a mother is the greatest gift that a woman can have and embody and live. Yeah. So, but it was a scary time. I was really terrified. I knew the relationship was not one that was going to go anywhere. There was a lot of addiction issues surfacing with him. And it was, one of those big choice points in my life of making the decision to bring this beautiful being into the world, even though I was already struggling, already having a lot of problems. Just managing life, as a single mom, it's not an easy road for anybody. I definitely encourage people to, maybe not get intimate with people until that you're not, that you wouldn't mind having a child with that person. Yeah. That was a lesson I didn't learn early enough. But I decided to go through that with that pregnancy. I had this incredible vision very early on in the pregnancy that, his spirit, like I just saw him as this beautiful lion and this force. And I got the download that he was going to be the greatest teacher in my life. That really became true over all the years that I had with him. Yeah. He's my child that's, heaven side now. Yeah. But what I did during that time period was I dove into this practice of tantric dance. I found a teacher in my area that really, I started, I think I was about 5, 6, 7 weeks pregnant. And I found this practice, and it was this journey of coming down and into my body, healing more of my traumas, being able to really sit with my woundings, the shadow, I'm just going to suggest, I think that there might be a couple of people not muted.
Oh, thank you so
much. Are you hearing?
much.
I'm just hearing some.
Yes. Is that better? I think I just muted.
Probably
everybody.
Better. Yeah. I was just hearing some little sounds. I want to get a good recording.
Yes. Thank you.
So started with this practice that became a foundational part of my life, my work with women. It's basically like a womb-based movement practice where I had been doing this spirituality that was very up and out. There's a tendency in modern day culture to have spirituality be something that's up and out, God's out there, and that, this is just not part of God or part of life and love. And we're just, anyway, so I had been doing that. And I think a lot of us live that way because of our traumas, because of our shadows, because we don't have the foundations and the teachings when we're young of how to work with those things, how to navigate those things, how to be with our pain and let others hold us in our pain, be seen crying, so we have a superficiality to our culture. Modern day, there's just a superficiality. It's, put on the happy face, pretend like everything's okay. And I got obsessed with coming down and in and becoming authentic and real myself.
Yes.
With myself, I had some really intense stuff to look at, I had some really painful things to hold and work through and, still work through, right? None of that stuff is overnight. Working through trauma, working through our woundings is not like this, one-time deal.
One and done. Yeah.
One and done. No, it's like decades and still working on it and still, and that was also part of the lesson was like, there is, I don't know. I mean, maybe at some point there's some amazing end point, but like there really is no end point, like life is this journey of learning and continually growing and evolving and healing. And that's just part of the purpose of this, right? Part of the purpose. And the more that we can do our own deep work, then it's like this beautiful weaving and spiraling where we can kind of come up and out of that enough to then where our experience of being able to grow and heal can then shine a light for others and our stories of the things that we've gone through and how that can help others to see at some point they can get through it too.
Yes.
And I feel like my life has kind of been a lot about that.
Yes.
All these intense experiences, intense traumas, intense like on my fucking knees on the ground, not knowing how I'm going to survive.
Yeah.
And then you work your way back up and you pray and you meditate and you surrender and you let go and you trust God and you just keep breath after breath. You keep going.
Oh, that was so beautiful. That was one of the most beautiful expressions of the entire retreat. That was really beautiful. I want to soundbite that. That was so beautiful. I got chills as you were saying that.
Well, and that, for the biggest, like, I thought I had been through shit in my life before. Excuse me for swearing.
No, please.
I get passionate.
Swear away.
Authentic and real. And sometimes
I love it. I love swearing because it's authentic and real. Yeah, it's passionate.
Right.
Please feel free to swear.
Okay. So, I thought I had been through so much in my life and I had, and there's been these beautiful journeys, that those spirals of the learning and then the sharing and then the, being a light for others and a way shower. And, and then, I had the hardest of the hardest, which was, a year and a half ago when I lost my son, Bodhi.
Yeah.
And, the journey of like coming back to life after the worst shock and trauma, imagine as a mother.
Yes.
That has been the grandest journey yet of radical self-love, of taking the time that I needed. I was very fortunate that I had about a little over a year where I could just kind of coast. I didn't have to work. I could just take care of myself and my youngest and surround myself with everything that I needed to keep breathing, keep going one more day, lay in bed for hours and hours and hours and hours, just with my hand on my heart, my hand on my belly, just breathing, all my animals piled on me as my healers, my son smiling and saying, it's going to be okay, mama, all the things that I needed to do, the faith music that I listened to for literally hours and hours and hours and hours a day, just deepening my capacity to trust that this is between God and my son. To trust that like, I loved him. I showed up. I, gave him the best life that I could. He lived the best life that he could. He was this just most, and still continues to be, because that's the other learning for me, is that there really is no death. It is the death of this, the death of our bodies, but we carry on. Like I feel my son everywhere all the time, like beautiful dreams, beautiful messages, beautiful little signs and synchronicities. And, he's a trickster. He's a total trickster. So he also plays tricks on me and sometimes kind of like smacks me in the ass to, to like get back to life. Like there's really, really strong messages, both from him and just, great spirit, my higher self, of, it's time to live. It's time to love again. Go forward. Life is so rich and so beautiful.
Yeah.
And, I want to take advantage of, the time that I have with my other family, my other children,
yes,
beautiful earth, this,
yes,
like you just, when death touches you so closely,
yeah,
you learn the fragility of this incarnation, right?
yeah.
Again, like the unboundedness of our souls and of our spirit is truer now to me than ever before. But there is a fragility to, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I don't know how many kisses I get with my youngest son, or hugs I get with my daughter, or my sister,
yes,
my mom and dad, and the other people I care about. So it's just been this incredible journey of learning to love who I am and life again, and all of those things. And, and I think for any parent that has lost a child in any form, my son died of it was a very wacky, weird, kind of timing. I believe it was heartbreak in a lot of ways. I also believe it was completion of his soul's mission. He had told me for years that he was not going to live long. He had told me, I'm not going to grow into a full adult, Mom. I'm never going to have kids. And I would just be like, what are you telling me? Right. Yeah. There was a part of him that knew his time here was short. Yeah. But it's, there's just, when we can face death, and I made the choice very early, right away, that I was going to go sober. I was going to, there was no going back to any of my addictions. There was no using substances, that I was going to sit in the pain and the crucifixion of that experience and navigate through it, as consciously as I could. And I do think that the tantric dance work and the embodiment work and the ability to be present in life, no matter what it brings, had prepared me for that time. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And, I think it's just more important than ever. I don't know anybody that has come out of the last 2 years untouched by death and loss, untouched by, extreme hardship and challenges. And I think as a collective, there's this deep hunger now. There's just this soul hunger of like, we shouldn't keep somedaying our life away. Like we got to stop with the out of alignment. We got to stop with the unauthentic living. There's never a guarantee that we have tomorrow. There's, we gotta tell the people that we love them today. We got to say all the things that we would say at a funeral. We got to say it to them today. Yes. Because, that's what the beauty is. That's what we're given here. It's grace of God, miracle that we even get to be here. Right. Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm just very humbled to sit with you and hear your experience and the amazing learnings and the amazing depths and initiations that this experience has brought you. And I'm just want to honor that, your whole path and that experience, and your mamaness, your eternal mamaness to your precious children. I'm gonna start to cry.
Yeah, I know, me too. I'm like, don't cry, mascara will go. I don't hardly ever wear mascara, but I put a little bit on for today. Being on camera. Like, put a little bit on, but don't cry.
Yeah, please feel free to cry. And
right.
This particular life experience that you are courageously moving through is really profound.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And living true to that vision that I had when he was first in my, just the tiniest little bit of cells growing in my body. It was like 5 weeks, this like download of like him as this like great lion. And it's like, this is not going to be an easy path, but he will be your greatest teacher in this life. Oh. It's so true, Yeah. It's so true.
How beautiful that you received that download guidance, to set the path for that, and how it has manifested. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the woman you are today, from having walked this 18-month journey. I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's an incredible, I don't feel like fully there yet. I see the vision of the land and the center, like the Bodhi Sarai Lion Therapy Ranch with all the animals and the horses and the equine therapy and canine therapy and farm animals and the grieving families and mothers coming and being on the land and the rituals and the ceremonies and the support of being held through, that I was very, like, I was so blessed. Oh my God. I mean, it was a crazy time to lose your child, 2020, right? So I was in Oregon, one of the most severest lockdown states. I couldn't even have a funeral for him. Like,
oh, wow.
The way that like anybody that experienced death during 2020, 21 and, all the lockdowns and stuff, like, my heart just goes out to everyone because it was added insult, right? To what we were experiencing. But I was so blessed and fortunate that we had a very small and beautiful ritual ceremony in my home. My sister came out, my mom came out. Of course, my youngest son was there. My daughter and her partner came out. We had, this incredible ceremony with the Native American chief that Bodhi had grown up with, doing sweat lodge with, doing the crossover song on his drum. And there was so many beautiful ceremony ritual those first few weeks of his passing and his crossing over. And then on the exact lunar 1 month, lunar calendar mark, my tantric dance teacher, who I had found when Bodhi was first in my womb, she created this incredible ritual. I'm going to write about it at some point because it was the most incredible experience, to be held in ceremony with women. My midwives were there. There was 7 mothers from my community that had also lost their children there. And it was the most profound afternoon, evening of being held and just witnessed and honored and supported in that grief and in that loss. And I think, for me, having been held that way, having the ceremonies, having the experiences, like, that's just birthed this desire for me of the give back of that someday, the center, that we would do that for families and help, parents, especially, because that's my experiences as a mother, right? Yeah. But help them through this journey of loss and grief and shock and trauma. And then how do you slowly come back to life? How do you birth a new life, a new you, completely different? I mean, shock like that, it's like you're in the goo of the caterpillar that went into the cocoon, and you're just you're in the nothingness of pain and darkness and muck. And how do you through the grace of God and prayer and meditation, whatever it is that you connect with, and the desire for life itself to continue on, like, how do you piece yourself back together? Start doing the little moments of self-love and the desire to like be here one more moment, to rebirth into the butterfly, to go through that metamorphosis and somehow come out the other side and start shining your light again. It's
amazing. It's just, I think it could be the most courageous path that any human would take. Is what you've been traversing. It's just amazing. And I'm just thinking of all the places to get lost along the way in that sea of grief, and how you've been able to, it seems like, continue to move through it and come back to life. Come back to life with even a greater reverence and honor, which is, this is so beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's been, at the same time that I wouldn't wish it on anyone, I had spent so many years. I almost lost Bodhi when he was 15, 16. He had a car accident, brain injury, went really suicidal for about 6 months. And, every day I thought I was going to lose him that day. And God gave me 3 more years with him.
Wow.
And, it was it was something that I had all that time to kind of like imagine. And, you know, you imagine as a mother, I could never survive that.
Yeah.
And then when you do, it's just like, whoa.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes.
You know, the strength.
Yes.
Of God and spirit and ourselves to carry on despite, you know, trauma and loss and pain. And it's pretty, you know, the human spirit is magnificent. It's magnificent, you know.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Just huge wow. Just wow, 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 wow. Just so much honoring of your path. It's so beautiful. It's so brave. So brave. Yeah. And we've been talking so much in the retreat about, it seems like the more grief or pain we might move through, the more capacity we might have for those highest of highs, the joys, and it seems like a paradox in some ways, but has that also, and it sounds like that's what you maybe are experiencing too, with this deeper reverence, is everything just deepens. It all deepens.
It deepens so much. I mean, there's a way in which, like, you know, and I, you know, part of kind of my spiritual path for so many years was very much this like ancient tantric path of like, pure presence, really, you know, like grabbing life, like being with life, and you know, the micro practices of like, you know, how much can you really enjoy the smell of a flower and your bare feet on Mama Earth, and how much can you love the one that you're with, how you know, how embodied can we become with love, with service, with purpose, with enjoyment, right? That's our birthright.
Yes.
And nothing has helped me actually live in that state more than this loss that I just went through.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Because there's, you just become so intimate with like the beauty, the wonder, the awe of life at the same time.
Yeah.
That there's this intimacy with the knowing that death is such a part of it here in this form, you know, that at some point we all go, at some point we all will say goodbye to the ones we love.
Yeah.
Whether we're ready or not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it just brings this like aliveness and this yearning to, you know, really enjoy the moments that we have here.
Yes. Like presence, like to be, present. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I should have gotten a box of Kleenex to have next to me. I didn't prepare myself.
Do you want to take a moment to grab something?
No, we're being authentic. And
okay. Real. Yeah. I'm just using my fingers.
Who cares? You know, I mean, this is actually, it's perfect because this has been a part of my self-love too, is this like, this embracing of like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have the world see me, you know, kept and in tears and, you know, the mountains on the floor. And, you know, it's all such a part of it. And that, you know,
that's such a great point. I'm so glad you said that too, because it can feel in our Western society that like grief needs to be private or kind of off to the side. And I love just the authenticness of you showing up and crying and whatever is arising.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it gives everyone else maybe I can do that too. Yeah. Yeah. It's real.
It's real. And it's, you know, we gotta like, self-love is that, you know, it's not just about loving the perfect part of ourselves or the happy part of ourselves. Or it's like also loving the parts of ourselves that just need to crumble in a puddle of tears, or the part of ourselves that there's moments where it's like, you don't know how you're going to carry on and you're just screaming out, crying out for help. We have to love those parts too.
Yes.
The pain, and we have to love the wounding. And
yes, absolutely. And it feels like this is like the invitation of our incarnation is loving all of it, all of ourselves, all of life, all of everyone, as painful and uncomfortable at times as it can be. Just that we become these huge vessels holding all of it. And the pain, and of course, you would know this much more than me. Does the pain shift? Is it a different pain today than it was in the very beginning?
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. It's like the way that I would describe it. So initially the pain was all consuming. I mean, it was, all I could do to just like put on the faith music, pile all, I have the most amazing medicine animals. I mean, I have a 130-pound lap dog named Ash, and he's like, I call him my good luck dragon. Did anybody see the Never Ending Story, Falcor?
Okay.
Falcor, the white dragon in Never Ending Story. So that's my dog, who's a 130-pound lap dog. And I swear he spent hours and hours and hours a day. He would come up on my bed and lay his entire body on me and put his head right on my heart. And we would lay there. And then my other dog, Soraya, who was Bodhi's dog, would come and curl into me. And then all of at the time I had like 15 cats. I was like the crazy cat lady out in the mountains in Oregon. I had like 15 cats. I had all my farm animals. And all of the animals they literally would just take turns coming and loving on me and reminding me of just the purr and the softness, and okay, there's still beautiful things here. And then of course my son Caillou was, who has just been, such an incredibly strong and amazing young man to face loss himself, and find the ability to love life and keep smiling and go out and play and be silly and come in and tell me jokes to make me laugh and all of these things.
So beautiful.
Initially the pain is like, I just couldn't, I didn't even feel like my nose was above water most of the time. But then as you be with it, as you surrender to it, as you, for me, it was, hours and hours and hours of just prayer and communion and, really this surrender, the absolute surrender, because, when you lose a child, like, the autopsy showed chronic and acute pancreatitis and fatty liver disease. He was struggling with alcoholism, especially the last year. I knew he had been sick most of the year, but he just refused any kind of medical care or help. I mean, we were right in the middle of COVID. He was like, no, Mom, I'm not going anywhere near the hospital. Like, But, I had to work through months and months and months of like, could I have done more? Could I have saved him? What did I miss? Like how, and there was honestly so much grace in his death. There really was so much grace in it. I had been feeling death around him for months, and he had narrowly escaped way more tragic deaths that would have been so profoundly traumatizing. And he died in his sleep, napping in the other room with me and Caillou in the other room. Like he in his sleep, it was like the most peaceful. I'm like, God, that's how I want to go, is just in my sleep. Right. So there was so much grace in it, but the, first few months, the pain of the loss, the pain of the trauma of losing him. I mean, he was the most affectionate, loving person around. Every interaction was, I love you, Mama, big bear hug. Like we were so close. So that there's a physicality of being a mother who had grown this child in your womb, and then you can't, you can't touch them anymore. You can't hug them. There's a like a death that happens in our own selves with that loss.
Yes.
So there was, the early months were this grief and this guilt and like, could I have done more? Like, right?
Yes.
All of that. And as I went through the process of just surrender, trust that it was between him and God, trust that it was between him and God, like let him, I had an incredible experience and confirmation of his true completion of work in this world before he passed. It was a brilliant story of it's kind of a long story, so I won't start it now because I know we got to wrap up the interview, but at some time I'll tell you more. And I'm going to write about it at some point. So anybody following me, you'll hear about it at some point. But just this beautiful confirmation of he went and left this planet in the most profound state of peace and surrender. And so as I surrendered to that, there became this ability to hold that immense pain while like using the experience to just crack open even further to the beauty and wonder and the love of this life. And now it's like this, like I can hold it. It doesn't, I'll still have the occasional time where I need to spend a half a day in bed and just, cuddle up with this is the doll that I made for Bodhi, it's like cuddle up with his doll that I made for him and put the faith music on and just cry and sob and, tell him how much I miss him. I still have those days. I don't know that will ever totally go away or anything. I'd want it to, they say the depth of grief is just testimony to the depth of love that you had for that person, So now there's like this, this capacity to let that pain and that grief be right there.
Yeah.
The celebration of his life and the celebration of our love and the celebration of the gift that he continues to give to me this day of like cracking me open and being his teacher.
Yeah. Renee, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
So much to share with others on this path.
Yeah.
Such a teacher of this. Yeah. I've never had the honor of speaking to a mom with this type of experience in this way.
Yeah.
I've never had that honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is something that does kind of get tucked away.
Yes.
Sadly, it also often gets medicated. It gets, women aren't, and fathers too. A father's pain and loss is just as intense. I don't ever minimize. I'm just speaking from the mother perception, right?
Yes. Yes.
But it's, there's a way in which it gets tucked away or people, there's also I had this immense gift of being in a position that I did not have to worry financially. Like I had residual income. So I was able to take a whole year of taking care of myself and making that a priority. Sadly, so many people that have loss and have grief, like they're expected to be back at work the next week. They have a mountain of things they have to take care of and they don't have, and that, if we were to look at more Indigenous cultures and how they hold grieving families, it's night and day different. So part of my mission, part of what I hope to, I'm very public about my process. I post a lot about my journey and my start and my loss. I don't want it hidden. So part of my desire and my mission is that we can actually welcome grief and loss into society and that we can hold people through it differently as a culture.
I love that so much. And you just seem like the perfect person to bring that to life from your own experience with it. Right. This is such a sacred role, such a sacred creation that you're birthing. Thank you. You're an incredible being. I just honor your path so deeply. So much courage. Thank you so much for sharing everything you have. This has been one of the deepest conversations we've had on this event. It's just
my honor.
Yeah, just I'm sure I'll be thinking about this for a very long time, what you have shared and what you have traversed.
You can always do a part 2.
Yes.
The next one. And
Yes. I'd love to continue talking to you about this experience, and just you've had such a rich life experience, and who you are is just amazing. This an honor, a deep honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just what an amazing sister you are.
And I look forward to that in-person hug soon.
Yes.
we gotta like have some in-person time. Maybe
I would love
take
that.
The show on the road in like a personal.
Yes, that's what has really been arising in me. Yeah. Does that arise in you too? Of having taken, okay, we've done it virtual, which is lovely, but how amazing would it be to do it in person?
Yes. I'm game.
Awesome. Me too. Let's do it. Yeah.
I love virtual events because we can reach so many.
Yes.
People. You really can convey, like, I mean, how lucky are we that we live in this time where it's like, we can have transmissions from people all over the world, and it can affect us and impact us and change our lives. Like, thank God, right? Amazing.
Yes.
And I freaking love in-person events. Me too.
I just love
being
together and hugging and eating together and dancing. Yeah. So I think that's the next iteration of this is, let's do it in person.
I would love it.
So we'll be in touch about all that.
Great.
Renee, where can people find you? Is through Facebook is the best way?
Right now I had this interesting experience, which was clearly needed. My website and everything I was so out of touch with everything that it all got lost about, 6 months into my journey with Bodhi. And I've taken it as a, until I'm really ready to like bring out the new reiteration of what I'm building in the world. I've just kind of let it be down. So it's gone.
Beautiful.
Completely.
Perfect. Yes.
So right now it's just through social. It's either on Instagram. You can find me on Pinterest. You can find me on Facebook. Most of my like real deeper sharings and things are more on Facebook.
Yeah.
I am percolating with some different deeper creations, books, that kind of thing. So at some point,
my gosh,
ReneeJeffus.com. When my website comes back out, it'll be ReneeJeffus.com.
Beautiful.
You can find me on socials.
So many things I can imagine to be birthed through you, books and every other thing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Renee. I humble myself before you. You're just amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, honey. And thank you for offering and inviting me to be a part of this. Your vision is so beautiful. Your heart is so beautiful. I'm so excited to see a lot of the other interviews. You have just incredible people here. And thank you for, bringing your heart out and your vision to offer to the world, because it's, more than ever, we need to know how to really love and honor ourselves, be an overflow ourselves, so that love can just pour out into this troubled world.
Amen. Sister, preach, sister. Yes. So agree. What do we all need more of? Just more love for ourselves, for everyone, for the planet. Yeah.
Yep.